The limping mother went to bring an umbrella for her daughter after school, but she was knocked down by a speeding car on the way. The girl saw it from afar but did not rush to help her mother. Instead, she pretended not to see and turned away without looking back, because she was ashamed of her mother's poverty. To maintain her vanity in front of her classmates, she lied to them, claiming that her mother was the deputy president of a top-tier corporation. She got more and more entangled in this false identity and couldn't extricate herself. Even at her birthday party, when her mother was surrounded and beaten by her classmates, she remained indifferent. The girl didn't know. She had a biological father who was the wealthiest man in the country. 17 years ago, her parents were trying to escape their enemy's pursuit. Her mother hid her in the bushes and stepped out to confront their pursuers, buying time for her husband to escape. The thugs knocked her down with a club, but her mother didn't give up. She clung to the thug's leg without letting go. The thug, enraged, raised the club and broke her leg. Yet still, her mother didn't loosen her grip. It was her determination that bought her husband valuable time to flee. Now, 17 years later, her mother was working as a maid in a top-tier family's home to make a living. The girl, on the other hand, had grown both vain and self-conscious because of this job. One day, the heiress of the top-tier family transferred to her school. All the students gathered around to watch the heiress's arrival. They were all envious, and the classmates next to the girl hoped she could introduce the heiress to them. At that moment, the girl's mother arrived at the school carrying her lunch. Seeing her mother, the girl panicked, not wanting her classmates to know the truth, that her mother was actually a maid. She shoved a few $100s into her mother's hands, telling her to leave quickly. The mother, helpless, turned away. Her classmates praised the girl for her influence, saying her mother, though just a maid for the heiress, had come all the way to bring her lunch. Their praise fueled her vanity. Later, as the girl's birthday approached, her classmates suggested she host a birthday party, and they wanted to see her luxury home. A few days later, the girl saw her mother fall by the roadside. Instead of helping her up, she went home alone. Her mother, soaked, still bought the girl her favorite roast duck. The girl, seeing her mother's disheveled appearance, felt no guilt. Instead, she was disgusted by the roast duck, calling it street food. Her mother's sacrifices were met with contempt. The girl went so far as to hit her mother. At that moment, a set of keys fell out of her mother's pocket. The girl kicked the keys aside. Her mother appeared very anxious. The girl looked at her in confusion. The mother had no choice but to explain that the heiress's family was going on a trip and had left the house keys in her care. Upon hearing this, the girl immediately had an idea. 3 days later, the birthday party went on as planned. The girl wore the heiress's luxurious dress and adorned herself with the jewelry that wasn't hers. Just as the party was at its peak, the girl's mother suddenly arrived at the house. This instantly caught her classmates' attention. The girl hurried to explain that her mother was the maid sent by the heiress to care for her. At that moment, a classmate noticed the violin in the living room, and they began to coax the girl into playing it. The mother immediately tried to stop them. During their struggle, the violin fell and broke. Just then, the heiress returned home and saw the entire scene.